You're watching MLB Network's continuing coverage of Shohei Ohtani, excuse me.
Has your phone stopped blowing up? Mine hasn't.
No, agreeing to what is believed to be the richest contract in professional sports history. $700 million. He's going to the Dodgers. Harold Reynolds, Robert Flores. Let's bring in another one of our insiders, John Heyman. John, what insight do you have on how this deal came together?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I know, but obviously nobody's going to know a lot because this was shrouded in secrecy. As of late last night, my understanding is the Dodgers did not know that they were getting him. And so it was either very late last night or this morning where it came together, where the Dodgers became the team and that they understood that they were getting Shohei Ohtani. My other understanding is that there were three finalists, the Angels, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. So certainly the Blue Jays were clearly in the running, and the Angels were as well. You know, the Giants and the Cubs were, I guess you could call them finalists. There were 5 teams. And, you know, one thing I will say, I don't think it's about the money. I think the Dodgers were the favorite all along, which is what we've always said, because of 2 things. Geography, number 1. Number 2, they are the most consistent winning team in Major League Baseball. Just look at the record.
You know, John, one thing, I did get a chance to catch up with Shohei at the end of the season, and he was dead set on the fact that when he first came over here, everybody made it sound like he had to be on the West Coast. And he said, I never had said that. That just became a narrative. And after traveling around, I really think the Blue Jays had an opportunity. I don't think it was geographic. I do think it came down to the Dodgers winning all the time. And if you're going to be somewhere for 10 years, wouldn't you want to have a chance to be in the playoffs every year? I think that's what it came down to.
Yeah, I think it's those 2 things. Certainly, I heard that he loved Southern California. What's not to love? He lives in Newport Beach. Whether you can drive from there to Chavez Ravine in a reasonable time, I'm not so sure. So perhaps he'll get a place closer to Pasadena, downtown Los Angeles, somewhere near Chavez. He certainly can. However he wants to do it, he can do helicopter, whatever. Certainly can afford it. But, you know, I don't think this is about the money. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about the money because it's eye-popping, record-setting. I projected $600 million forever. Beats that by $100 million. We'll see what the actual value of this is after all the numbers are actually figured out and we know what the deferrals are and for how long. But I don't think it's really about the money. I don't think he's about the money. I think, yes, the winning, but the geography counts. And now the first time, I'm not so sure. But this time, I heard from everybody around him that he loved Southern California. So I do think that was a factor as well. But, yeah, he certainly wants to win. I'm sure he was frustrated over the last 6 years. The Angels did him right, having him pitch and hit at the same time, became this international superstar, even beyond what he started as. And, got to give him credit. And I like the fact that he did give them credit. And by the way, I don't mind the fact that he didn't do a repeat of LeBron. That's not him. It's not, he's not obligated to do that. So I don't blame him in the least. And I think it's fine that he announced it on Instagram, and I get it.
Hey, John, the interesting thing here, too, I talked to one of the high-end executives on another club, and he was saying, everybody's acting like he didn't get injured. So, because I was thinking, with the injury, then money might drop down. Because we were talking 600, 700. Right. Everybody's throwing different crazy numbers out there. But when he got injured and he was going to have Tommy John surgery, you're thinking, wow, will he come in at 3? Will he come in at 4 now? They acted as if it didn't, and here we are. So how many teams just ignored the injury? And why was it?
Well, absolutely. I don't know about ignored, but, they didn't factor it in as a huge thing. He has 2 values, as a ball player and as a marketing entity. I mean, his value as a marketing entity is through the roof. I mean, this guy is doing something nobody has ever done. I mean, Babe Ruth did not do this, where he's a hitter and a pitcher together, and is one of the best at both simultaneously for multiple years. I mean, he could have won 3 MVPs in a row. The only reason he didn't is because Aaron Judge broke Roger Maris's home run record. Otherwise, 3 MVPs in a row. This guy is a marketing huge plus for any team that would have signed him, probably more so for Toronto than the Dodgers because they already have a lot of great stuff lined up. They basically sell out. They've got a great TV deal for like $2 billion. But, I mean, I think part of it with the Dodgers, too, was that, they have a history of having these great baseball figures in their organization. Jackie Robinson, one of the greatest figures in baseball history, if not the greatest. Vin Scully, the greatest broadcaster arguably in baseball history. Sandy Koufax, arguably the greatest pitcher in baseball history. And now they've got the guy who's clearly the most versatile player in baseball history and maybe the most talented. So, I mean, I think this was huge for the Dodgers all along. They cleared payroll space. This was the match that made sense from day one. And day one was over a year ago. We started to think about this, and you know, it worked out in the end. I know there were some twists and turns to this, and I get it because everybody wanted this guy who could afford him, and a lot of people could afford him. As far as the money, we don't really know what the money is yet, right? It's great that they have a nice figure out there, $700 million, but we'll find out once all the deferrals are figured in. But it did make sense from the start. I'm happy for Shohei. Good guy for a team, and one of the greatest players of all time, and the Dodgers' historic team, and it made sense. But that lineup, unbelievable. I saw you guys and Joel mentioned it, to have Betts, Ohtani, Freeman, 1, 2, 3. They finished 1, 2, 3 in the MVP. Obviously, one was in a different league at the time, but we've never seen anything like this before. This is the greatest top of the lineup ever, by far.
John, we'll get you out of here on this one. Elaborate, if you would, what this deal potentially does now for the rest of free agency and the free agent market. Still some big names out there.
Right. You know, I mean, I think it certainly blocked up free agency. So I'm glad that he got the deal done now in fairly early part of December. And we've got a lot of great players to go. Certainly the Cy Young winner and Snell. We've got Montgomery, Bellinger. There are a lot of terrific players who haven't yet signed. And I think this will open things up. Everybody will know what they need to do now. We know that the Cubs, who have a lot of money, didn't get him. They've been in on Chapman and Bellinger and Hoskins. The Giants, they certainly need to get a big player. They've been in on Chapman and Bellinger and Lee, the Japanese player. So we're going to start to see guys, I think, flying off the board. And don't count the Dodgers out on Yamamoto. That's something to think about. They can afford to do both. They can do both. They can do Ohtani and Yamamoto. But
I've heard that.
You know, obviously, you're right, Harold. Exactly, he knows. The Mets and Yankees are obviously one of the favorites too for Yamamoto, but that's going to be another interesting one. Not obviously as big as Ohtani. One thing to consider is, if you're Yamamoto, do you want to be on the team with Ohtani? Is it a plus or a negative? You know, we don't know. We're not inside his head. Maybe it's a plus. Maybe he'd rather be by himself
now, because you're not the one that everybody's looking at every second.
True. There is something
right underneath Mookie, Freeman, Ohtani. You're not. The pressure's not on you if you're on that team.
You're not the big fish.
Depends on your personality.
Yeah. Good point.
I can see it either way. 50% of people would prefer to be with him. 50% would prefer to be the guy who the focus is on. I think that's hard to know, but they can't afford to do it. That's the main thing. And congratulations to the Dodgers for getting this done. And I'm relieved that it's over, and I can start looking at the other players now, and everybody else can too.
There you go. Well, John, we appreciate you joining us here on this Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Great talking to you guys.